Imagine walking through the dense jungles of Central America or trekking across the rugged Anatolian plateau, only to stumble upon the crumbling remnants of a once great city, its towers toppled, its streets silent, its people vanished without a trace. What stories do these ruins whisper to the wind? What secrets lie buried beneath centuries of earth and myth? Welcome to History Owl, where today, we unlock the gates to the lost empires of the ancient world and journey into the untold mysteries of vanished civilizations. History is not merely a chronicle of kings and battles. It's a vast, intricate tapestry woven from the triumphs, tragedies, and enigmas of countless peoples, some of whom thrived for centuries, only to disappear so completely that their very existence was doubted until their ruins were unearthed. Today, we'll explore the rise and fall of four such civilizations: the Hittites, the Indus Valley people, the builders of Great Zimbabwe, and the Olmec. Each one left behind more questions than answers, their true stories still hidden beneath layers of time, legend, and scholarly debate. Let's begin our journey in Anatolia, in what is now modern-day Turkey, with a people whose rediscovery rewrote the history of the Bronze Age, the Hittites. For centuries, the Hittites were known only through the Bible and Egyptian records, as mysterious northern enemies, almost like the shadowy boogeymen of the ancient Near East. 19th-century scholars believed them to be a figment of myth, until a cache of thousands of clay tablets was found at Hattusa, their long-buried capital, in the early 20th century. The Hittite Empire, at its height around 1300 BCE, rivaled the might of Egypt and Babylon. Their chariots thundered across the battlefield at Kadesh, where they fought Ramses II to a draw in one of the largest chariot battles ever recorded. They forged iron weapons centuries before the rest of the world caught on, giving them a technological edge that spread fear across the ancient Near East. Yet, for all their power, the Hittites have left us with profound mysteries. Why did this mighty empire collapse so suddenly around 1200 BCE? Was it the infamous Sea Peoples, mysterious raiders whose identity still eludes historians, or was it internal strife, famine, or plague? The Hittite archives, written in a script deciphered only in the last century, speak of omens, crop failures, and desperate pleas to the gods. There are hints of assassinations, court intrigues, and perhaps even climate disaster. But the full story of their fall remains elusive, locked within languages we are still learning to read and ruins that have only begun to yield their secrets. From the dry hills of Anatolia, let's cross the mountains and deserts to the lush valleys of the Indian subcontinent. Here, more than 4,000 years ago, flourished one of humanity's earliest urban civilizations, the Indus Valley Civilization. At its peak, the twin cities of Harappa and Mohenjo-Daro were home to tens of thousands of people, their streets laid out in perfect grids, their homes supplied with running water and the world's first known indoor toilets. Long before the pyramids of Egypt reached their zenith, the Indus people built massive granaries and sophisticated drainage systems that would not be rivaled for millennia. Yet, for all their architectural brilliance, the Indus left behind almost no clues about their rulers, their beliefs, or even their language. Their script, found on thousands of tiny seals, some depicting unicorns, others strange geometric symbols, remains undeciphered to this day. Who were the Indus people? Were they ruled by priest kings, councils, or something else entirely? Did they worship gods now forgotten, or was their society uniquely secular for its time? And perhaps the greatest mystery: why did their civilization vanish so completely? Around 1900 BCE, the great cities were abandoned, the writing ceased, and the people dispersed. Theories abound: shifting rivers, catastrophic floods, climate change, or invasion by Indo-Aryan migrants. Yet the archaeological evidence resists easy answers. Unlike other ancient collapses, there are no signs of war or mass destruction, just an eerie, gradual fading away. The Indus Valley Civilization stands as a monument not just to ancient ingenuity, but to the enduring puzzles of the past. Now, let's journey south, to the heart of Africa, where the stones of Great Zimbabwe rise from the savanna like the bones of a forgotten giant. Between the 11th and 15th centuries, this city was the center of a thriving kingdom, its walls built from millions of carefully carved granite blocks, stacked without mortar to form enormous enclosures, and a towering conical tower whose purpose is still debated. For centuries, European explorers could not believe that Africans had built such monuments. Myths grew up around the ruins. that they were the work of Phoenician traders, or the Queen of Sheba, or even lost Israelites. Only in the 20th century did archaeologists confirm that Great Zimbabwe was the heart of a powerful African civilization, whose kings controlled the gold and ivory trade stretching to the Swahili coast and beyond to Arabia and China. But why was Great Zimbabwe abandoned? Archaeological excavations reveal a society at its peak, trade goods from Persia, China, and the Arab world, cattle herds numbering in the thousands, and evidence of complex social and religious life. Yet, sometime in the 15th century, the city was deserted, its people moving north to found new kingdoms. Was it environmental collapse, overgrazing, or political upheaval? The answers remain tantalizingly out of reach, as the silent stones of Zimbabwe keep their secrets. Our next stop takes us across the Atlantic to the jungles of southern Mexico, the homeland of the enigmatic Olmec civilization. Flourishing from around 1200 to 400 BCE, the Olmec are often called the mother culture of Mesoamerica. They left behind colossal stone heads, some weighing more than 20 tons, whose faces stare out across the centuries with enigmatic, knowing gazes. The Olmec invented many of the ideas and practices that would later define Mesoamerican civilization: ritual ball games, pyramid building, even the earliest known writing in the New World. But so much about the Olmec remains shrouded in mystery. Who were the people immortalized by those giant heads? Were they rulers, ball players, or gods? How did this civilization rise so rapidly from the swamps of Veracruz, and why did it decline just as quickly? Some clues lie in the ruins themselves. Evidence of massive trade networks, intricate jade carvings, and hints of complex religious rituals. But there are also signs of catastrophic floods, volcanic eruptions, and even possible warfare. As with so many lost civilizations, the Olmec story is a puzzle with too many missing pieces. A civilization that laid the foundations for future empires, and then vanished into the rainforest. But these are just 4 of the countless empires, kingdoms, and cultures that have risen and fallen throughout history, leaving behind only fragments for us to piece together. The world is dotted with lost cities. Angkor in Cambodia, swallowed by the jungle. Cahokia on the Mississippi, its population dispersing into legend. The Nabateans of Petra, whose rose-red city still dazzles visitors but whose fate is largely unknown. What unites all these stories is not just their mystery, but their impact. Even in disappearance, these civilizations shaped the world that came after them. Why do civilizations vanish? Historians and archaeologists have debated this question for generations. Sometimes the answer is clear: war, famine, natural disaster. Sometimes it's a slow decline, trade routes shifting, resources depleted, cities slowly emptying out as people seek better lives elsewhere. And sometimes, as with the Indus or the Olmec, the reasons are as mysterious as the ruins themselves. But perhaps the greater mystery is why, despite the odds, so many traces remain. Why do we find the same motifs, pyramids, gods, writing systems, monumental architecture, appearing across continents and millennia? Is it coincidence or evidence of lost connections, forgotten migrations, or universal patterns in human society? Take the case of the Hittites. For centuries, all we had were scattered references in the records of their rivals. But as more tablets were unearthed, and as archaeologists learned to read their cuneiform script, a whole world emerged. Treaties, laws, myths, and even personal letters. The Hittites, once thought imaginary, became the architects of a complex, multicultural empire. Or look at Great Zimbabwe. For generations, its existence was denied or misattributed, its achievements dismissed. Now, it stands as a symbol of African ingenuity, reminding us that history is too often written by the conquerors and the doubters, and that the stones themselves tell their own story. The Indus Valley, meanwhile, challenges our assumptions about what it means to be a civilization. Here was a society with no palaces, no royal tombs, no grandiose monuments to kings, yet its cities were marvels of planning and public health. What does it mean that such a society could thrive for centuries, only to vanish almost without a trace? And the Olmec, with their giant heads and mysterious glyphs, remind us that even the most advanced cultures can disappear, leaving only questions behind. Their influence seeped into every corner of Mesoamerica, shaping the Maya, the Zapotec, and the Aztec, yet their own voices are lost to time. As we unearth the ruins of lost empires, we also unearth the biases, assumptions, and blind spots of our own era. The search for vanished civilizations is not just about stones and bones. It's about recovering forgotten narratives, challenging old certainties, and realizing that the past is always more complex, surprising, and interconnected than we imagine. What can we learn from these lost empires? Perhaps the most important lesson is humility. No civilization, however advanced, is immune to change. The same forces that built the walls of Great Zimbabwe or the palaces of Hattusa, innovation, cooperation, ambition, can also lead to overreach, conflict, and collapse. The lines between success and failure, memory and oblivion, are razor thin. But there is another lesson, too: resilience. The descendants of these lost peoples did not simply vanish. The Hittites' language survived in the tongues of Anatolia. The legacy of the Indus Valley lived on in the traditions of the subcontinent. The builders of Great Zimbabwe gave rise to new kingdoms and cultures. And the Olmec spirit echoed in the civilizations that followed. Every lost empire is also a beginning. Every vanished city paves the way for new stories, new discoveries, and new mysteries. As historians, archaeologists, and curious minds, it's our task to keep digging, keep questioning, and keep listening to the whispers of the past. So next time you see a crumbling ruin, a weathered stone, or a name half remembered in an old book, remember: behind every lost empire is a world waiting to be unearthed. The untold mysteries of vanished civilizations are not just about what we have lost, but about what we are still learning, about ourselves, our ancestors, and the remarkable, unpredictable journey of human history. If you enjoyed this journey into the shadows of the past, don't forget to subscribe to History Owl for more deep dives into the enigmas that shaped our world. Share your thoughts and theories in the comments. What lost civilization fascinates you most, and what mysteries do you hope we'll solve next? Until next time, keep your curiosity alive, and remember, history is never truly lost, as long as we keep searching.